the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast, brought to you by Quantum 5. Create frictionless customer experiences in 2022. Sign up now for our pre-NADA special. Ditch the scripts and connect with customers to bring in more sales, service appointments, and revenue. Go to quantum5.ai for more information. Thank you to all our sponsors: Fixed Ops Marketing, Traver Connect, Parts Edge, Dynatron Software. If you're running a dealership, you owe it to your team to reach out to all of them. Let's get into it with our guest this week, the one and only Les Silver. All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast. Today, I will introduce our guest, but he needs no introduction. Les Silver, thank you for being here on the Fixed Ops Mastermind podcast.
Well, David, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Appreciate you taking some time out to impart some wisdom on the guests. So for those who don't actually know who you are, I'm going to give them a brief history of where you came from.
Been involved in technology for automotive service now going on about 40 years. Was the founder of New Gen Results, which focused on bringing people back into the shop by making them aware of service needs, particularly scheduled maintenance, and being a bit more persistent in letting people know that they, if it's a need today, it hasn't gone away if you haven't had it done. Unfortunately, people procrastinate a lot of opportunity away, and we helped avoid that. That was a good business. Grew to be about 7,000 dealers that we were servicing. Left there and got involved with MPI, which was the first company to offer a electronic vehicle inspection product.
Yep.
Over time, that business, grew substantially and also encompassed Identifix and AutoPoint as other parts of that business. Left there almost, I guess it's getting close to 10 years ago now, and got involved with the Keeps Corporation. Ray Branch was the founder of Keeps, and he and I got together. His plan was to stick around for a few years and then retire. So we had a great relationship and was able to provide him with an exit. And he's enjoying his life in retirement. Unfortunately, I'm still still playing the game.
Yeah, you say unfortunately, but I believe you are one of those guys that will never retire. So,
my dad was 89 when he retired,
yeah.
So hopefully I've still got a lot of ways to go.
There you go. Absolutely. It's funny to think back to a time in this business when a multi-point inspection was not part of the game, right? But I know when I came in 87, it was not something. And then a little bit later, I was an advisor with Ford when they started with the around the wheel, and we started seeing these red, yellow, green sheets.
Yep.
And now, it's foreign to go into a dealership and not see them using some form of that red, yellow, green multi-point inspection.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I was actually part of the team at Ford that developed and launched, first of all, QCM, which was the quality care maintenance, and then followed up by around the wheel. So we had the chance to literally go into almost all of the Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealers. This is back in the late 90s, and install QCM and around the wheel. And it's one of the programs that stuck. It's, a lot of programs get launched and 2 years later, you never hear of them.
Right.
The basics of that program were so solid that even today, they're a significant part of operating a Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer, or Lincoln dealer, I guess. No more Mercuries.
Right. Yeah. It was incredible at that to be with Ford at that time when they started putting that in, and the reception that it got from customers, that they could get this. I mean, at the time it was, paper 3 copies that that we filled out, but that they could get this additional record of what happened with their service, and things that it might need, that it doesn't need right now, but it's going to need coming up in the future, so they could plan for it. They were so used to going from a handwritten repair order where they couldn't read what was written on it to getting an invoice from a CDK or ADP back then type of system where they couldn't read it. It was typed out, but they still couldn't read or understand what was on it. To have something as simple as red, yellow, green, it was one of those revolutionary and moments, but you look back and you go, wow, this is so simple. How come this didn't happen 30 years before?
Well, part of the reason I think it was successful was the launch strategy that Ford used. I don't know if you recall this, but we put together a series of meetings across the country where we brought dealers together in small groups. There were groups of 10 max at a time, and the dealer came typically with his CFO and his fixed operations staff. They sat at a round table. There was a moderator from Ford at each table, and we created a dealership-specific business case where we went in advance and we analyzed, are you getting people coming back? Are they, having the right number of visits? Are you, are you doing the basics? And it was tremendously successful because it opened the eyes of the dealer. One of the stats that we had was, what is the investment that the aftermarket is dedicating to marketing their service operations, and what's the investment as a percentage of sales that typically dealers are allocating, and why are you losing 4/5 of the business? Well, it's because the aftermarket is spending 7 or 8% of sales, and you're spending 1%. And the scales sort of fell off the eyes of everybody at the time. It was like, whoa, what are we missing here? And I think that was a big help in getting the buy-in from the top down on becoming more aggressive in service.
Yeah, it's a great strategy, right? That I wish more OEMs stuck to. It was getting input from the dealership level, unfortunately, the marketing budget hasn't turned around that much from from fixed ops. It opened their eyes, but they still didn't spend the money. It's still much funner to sell that shiny metal than it is to sell parts and service. So.
Well, unfortunately, we're still a little bit of the stepchildren in the fixed operation, than we are, and it's a shame, particularly these days when so much of the success of the dealership relies on a solid fixed operation. Mm-hmm. It deserves more of the attention than typically it gets. The number of things that salespeople get to do, as rewards for good behavior, as an example, compared to the opportunities for the service folk, it's night and day difference still.
Right, absolutely, and back then Ford was a leader in that too. When I started, they had the medallion program for service advisors, which I won a couple of times and went on some very nice trips. Thank you, Ford. But those went for a couple of years, and then they were like, all right, we can't give that stuff to service anymore. those went away. So
those guys only pay half the bill.
Right. I think they might have been too scared to put that many service guys in a room again together.
Where did you go for your trips? You remember?
Yeah. Well, actually, there were two that were to Detroit, and one was to a resort in Virginia somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, but the two that were to Detroit, although it was Detroit, it was really cool because they took us. We went into one of the assembly plants that did Broncos and F-Series. They took us to the test track, and we got to drive on the test track, and they had Bob Bondurant was there. He took us around driving on a obstacle course and things, and research and development areas that they took us to. We saw some really, really cool things. And then, they had fun things that we did too.
It leaves impressions, lifetime impressions, when you get to see those things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We went to I think it was called the Car Rail Museum. It was somebody's private museum, and it was all cars and trains, which is why it was Car Rail Museum. But just had this guy had a massive collection of Lionel trains, but also just unbelievable cars. And it was just in this unassuming it wasn't little, this unassuming, very large, like manufacturing looking building from the outside, and inside was like, whoa. And that was cool because we had the whole place to ourselves. It was a private thing for Ford. So it was fun. And it really, Les, it made you want to do better. It made you want to go, I want to do this again next year, So, and you won that by customer service, right? It was early in the survey days, and you won it by getting customers to fill out good surveys for you. And it made you want to perform. So it's, hopefully some of those things can come back at some point. One of the things that fixed ops didn't face back then was a lack of technicians. And we are certainly facing it now, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. And so we've got to become better at attracting people into our business. We've got to become better keeping people in our business. And for the technicians who are getting to the point where they don't want to work on cars anymore, or don't want to be on a concrete floor for 10, 12 hours a day, we've got to find some way and something for them to do within the dealership. We can't let that knowledge just walk away from the business. What are some of the things that you're seeing out there?
Well, you go back and you look at the cycles. We look at the dealership when we step back with the three drivers of success. One is, quality. Are you delivering a quality product to your customer? I.e., are you fixing it right?
Mm-hmm.
But as importantly, are you delivering a quality experience? Because if you fix it right, but if you muff up all the other things, people still aren't going to come back. So quality is a huge issue. The ability to sell something, get more customers, sell the things that they need, price it properly. That's more the sales side. That's an opportunity and a priority. And the third element there is the capacity to get the work done. Because unlike other parts of the business, if you sell something and you don't have somebody available to do it, that's going to impact on your quality, and you're not going to get the result that you want anyways. And capacity is around how many technicians do I have, how long do they work? What's their work day?
Mm-hmm.
Looking like extended shifts or extended hours or not, and how, call it, efficient they are. There's different definitions of, are they able to turn hours on the work that they're given? And we look at those three things, and we see that over time the emphasis seems to move around. Quality is a huge priority, and everybody, stage, right, everybody moves to quality, and they spend some time doing that, and then they realize they don't have any customers, so they start marketing programs to bring customers back, and capacity kind of raises its head every once in a while. Back in the day, and this goes back probably 20 years, we actually wrote a book for Ford. It was called Maxed Out. I don't know if you remember ever having seen that, but there were, what do you do in order to improve your capacity? And it was the various things around, a 4-day, for example, a 4-day rotating work week,
Mm-hmm.
10 hours a day adds 25% capacity to your shop just by organizing it that way. Is that recognized? Do you need to? Is it worth your while, as an example? So 15, 20 years ago, it was a big issue, and a lot of emphasis went into capacity. That went away. People caught up. The lineups weren't there, and the focus shifted to other things. Like around the wheel and how to merchandise and sell more, how to bring customers back and do inspections. Today, it's back again. Today for a different reason, the industry is suffering from lack of technicians. So before, when you looked at that, well, what do I do to increase capacity? I get more technicians.
Right.
You could.
Yeah.
It wasn't all that hard. Where today, it's just a different story. So the need for improvements in capacity, which can be satisfied with more technicians, however, could also be satisfied again with another relook at the other drivers of capacity. How many hours are being worked? Do people find it attractive to do a 4-day, 10-hour work week and get that extra day off, once a week? Does that help attract people to the industry and give you a double bump, more people that are prepared to work it, as well as more hours that you're prepared to get out of the facility at the same time? And then, of course, it's just efficiency. Where are the bottlenecks in efficiency? How much time is wasted by technician in the course of a day, doing stuff that is counterproductive, or that walk of death, I call it, which is the walk from the bay to the parts counter, and the amount of time that gets consumed as a result of that. Not facetiously, but if there's a time to chat about last night's ball game, it's at the parts counter. And how do we take a look at every point that impacts on the technician and their ability to turn hours and dedicate some time and effort? We talk a lot about Ford, but GM at their tech center in Warren, Michigan, and this goes back 25, 30 years, were a beacon of experimentation on things that impacted on, they would call it the shop of the future. And they actually had a conveyor belt system running through that shop. This was a shop that was used to service executive vehicles. It was a real shop, and they had to turn hours, and they had to be as efficient as they possibly could. And they were able to load parts onto a conveyor belt and have them delivered right to the technician's stall. Whether it's a conveyor belt, or whether it's parts runners, or whether it's pre-picking, or whether it's parts bins, or you name it. There are ways to make that technician that much more effective. We recently got involved with a company. They call their product Bailey, and they're have created technology to manage the time of the technician in the stall, and to manage to really provide information on when's to get in the stall, how long does it take, how long did it wait before the inspection got started, how long did it take to get the parts once that happened. Information on production that isn't available anywhere else is becoming available there. They'll be launching at NADA, and they're a company that we're keeping our eye on as well, trying to help them out to get their product launched, because it's a need that we really have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Marcus Amon, correct?
That's Mark. Yeah.
Yeah. A former service director who took his knowledge of what needed to be done and is doing something to help the industry. Love to see that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny you talk about the walk of death for the technician, and you think about in some other industry, pick any industry, pick an office worker, and if that person had to go from their desk and walk across the entire company to go pick up their next piece of work, how much less productivity they would have in their day.
Exactly. If you think about, if we have a need for another, let's call it 50% capacity, I would say that let's challenge ourselves to figure out how do we get that capacity without having to add another technician.
Mm-hmm.
With the technicians that you've got, what can you do that would help you add capacity to be able to do that? And you're probably still going to need some technicians. So, being aggressive, being at the front end of pay scales and environments for, the technicians are going to migrate, to where they have the best quality of life.
Right.
And, if you're not on top of the things that technicians are looking for that are indicators of quality of life, not only are you not going to hire them, you're going to lose them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a even more challenging, environment for you if you don't be very careful there.
Right. And I think the industry as a whole should be challenging itself every single day to find ways to do things more efficiently, to get more productive. And that doesn't mean that we're overburdening our technicians. It actually should work the other way, where we should be making their jobs easier. And by making their jobs easier, you will get, as a result of that, more productivity, right? So if they didn't have to walk all the way across the shop to get parts, they could get them into their bay. It makes their job easier, and you get more productivity out of them.
Exactly. If you didn't have to walk the parking lot to find a car and spend 10 minutes doing that, and there are ways of doing that. Years ago, we worked with Carl Sewell in his Sewell Village Cadillac store, and I don't know if you know the restaurant Chuck E. Cheese.
Mm-hmm.
It's been around for quite some time. It's sort of a kid's birthday game thing.
Yeah.
And he was impressed with how they organized the delivery of the food. And he took some of those ideas on how to organize and deliver cars back to customers, more easily. And we actually developed a program for him called Chuck E. Cheese.
That's awesome. I'm thinking of, I went out to California with my son this past summer, and we stopped at a random place to get lunch, and they had outside these little square robots that delivered food to people.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm picturing those inside a dealership. It's a nice, easy way. I mean, some parts are going to be too big to put inside this little robot, but it's a nice, easy way to, send the robot out to Bay 15 and deliver the parts to the technician, rather than having to actually walk over to the parts department. If people actually took the time to figure out how much money in revenue you're losing for every hour that a technician is not working, they would not have them walking over to a parts department anymore.
They sure wouldn't. And, and if they would have little consignment bins and fast moving parts, right in the bay.
Yes.
Because these guys aren't going to steal them. There's no risk of that. And, it would just keep them at the bay working, doing what they want to do, which is working, turning hours and making money.
Yes.
And which is exactly what the dealership wants to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything from there just becomes better, because the other thing happening as they're leaving their bays and talking about last night's baseball game and things is they're becoming distracted from doing repairs. And now you come back, not only do you lose time because they have to get back into the swing of that repair, but maybe a step gets missed because they stopped to go get some little part. So, it starts becoming a customer service or possibly a safety issue down the line also.
Yeah. We're also, working with a company called SciTech, and they're taking service information, reorganizing it and making it available to the technician on their smartphone. And that's another one where how much time is lost wandering back over to, even if you have computer. I mean, we're far more ahead than we were when I did the Ford thing. We said, okay, you have to have one computer for every 2 technicians.
Yep.
And that was like, are you crazy? We can't afford all of that. Well, there are a lot of PCs now in shops.
Yes.
But to be able to talk to your smartphone and get the answer of, all right, well, tell me, here's the car that I've got. We're able to scan the barcode and get the VIN and automatically find all the service information that's available, whether it be, quick service specs or whether it be component locations, wiring diagrams, diagnostic procedures. All that now is available, literally on your smartphone, where you can either search for it or just ask it. Give me this, give me that.
That's amazing, and then it's just it's a small step from there, right, to make that connect up into get me an oxygen sensor, and the robot drives you out an oxygen sensor. So
exactly,
that's
exactly.
Those things are coming.
There's a lot of cool stuff that's going on. There are thoughts that are small companies that are being founded to solve problems that are significant. Are ones that are worthy of spending time and effort on. And I'm fortunate enough to have my son's heavily involved with the Dynatron and Keeps business.
Mm-hmm.
And I can stay away from the day-to-day there. And I've been spending more of my time with some of these smaller companies as an advisor, whether it be SciTech or Bailey, or another one is automation that takes service reservations, through AI,
Mm-hmm.
where, again, just finding people to man a BDC. The staff shortage isn't limited to the technicians.
Right.
Staff shortage is a chronic problem in most areas of the dealership.
Sure.
How hard or how easy it is to man a BDC for either inbound or outbound calling. A chunk of that, can be effectively automated. Not all of it,
Mm-hmm.
but if you can take, 50, 60, 70% of that manual effort and divert it to technology, you're going to be in shape to have a much more stable workforce.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And at Quantum 5, that's one of the things that we're working on, not on automating a BDC, but on helping to bring technology into the training side of the business, to allow for training to be sustainable after a trainer walks out the door, right? So you get 8 hours of 16 hours of training, and that trainer leaves, and then the manager is expected to keep up a training that he got the same amount of information on as his team did. And through the app that we have, we can sustain that training and have them continue to learn and continue to build those skills. Technology is improving every single day through using AI, much as you do with automation. The AI starts to learn the type of content that the advisor or manager or salesperson wants, and what they interact with, whether it's full video, whether it's multiple choice questions, whatever it is, and it'll deliver more information on that, as well as analyzing what they're doing well in, what they're not doing well in, and it'll serve up more of the things that will help their skills. And
I've built quite a team in that organization, yourself and the others that have joined recently. Very impressive.
Yeah, thank you. It's an exciting place to be, Les, and you've been on the forefront of all of this stuff for a long time, and it's exciting to be able to do something that you see can affect the industry in a positive way. I think with Bailey, I've talked to Marcus a bunch of times. I think that's next level, and technology is catching up to the point where you can make something like that, viable. Before, you would have had to manually do a lot of things that Bailey can do. I think people need to open up a little more to what technology can do for this industry. There's a lot of industries that embraced technology, and automotive, sometimes we're a little slow on these things. But
you're so kind. A little slow.
A little slow. Well, hey, listen, I've been part of the slow, so I include myself in that. and resistance is futile. That's out of some movie, right? Technology is coming, and we need to learn to embrace it in automotive because it, used properly in conjunction with actual human beings, right? Like you said, the BDC product that you have is not going to replace all the people in the BDC. Any type of other kiosk or anything else is not going to replace all the advisors you need. And no matter how much digital retailing improves, you're never going to remove the need for salespeople in that dealership. So, being afraid of technology, those times have passed. You need to embrace it and find the ways that it can actually enhance your business, whether it's building skills through Quantum 5 or, improving your technician production through Bailey. The technology is here and is very, very valuable to be used to improve your business and improve your quality of life overall.
We find that customers, not everybody will react to a high-tech interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Broadly, you've got high-tech customers. You also have high-touch customers.
Yes.
And we recommend, first of all, having processes that are designed around both those customer types and knowing when to use them. So if you've got a high-touch customer, don't stick them into a high-tech workflow,
right?
Because it'll alienate them. On the other hand, Amazon built a nice little business without having anybody really providing customer service.
Mm-hmm.
It's a high-tech environment, and they found enough customers to satisfy that need.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point. Is that I think that's another thing we've been guilty of in automotive is trying to force people into our process rather than listening to what they say and follow the money, if you will, of how they spend their dollars by forcing them into our process instead of listening to them. Everybody has an online scheduler, and yet the numbers are still at 60 to 70% of the people call the dealership to get an appointment. Yep. To just think that you can have all online schedulers and that solves your problem is not the right thing to do. And it does start to alienate some of your customers that you certainly don't want to do. And somehow Jeff Bezos figured that out, and even if he has alienated some people, he's got enough to get a few billion in his pocket. So good for him.
Do you find it surprising that people just don't utilize, an online reservation system to the extent that you'd think they would after? I think back to the origins of X-Time, and, they were, the first in that space. It's been 20 some odd years.
Right.
And we're still not in a stage where, where people routinely go online to book a service appointment.
Yeah. And I think, I don't have any data to back this up, but it's my feeling that nobody has found a way to make it as easy as Amazon has made it for you to buy a product. So you're still, to make an appointment at a dealership, even on the best system out there, you've still got probably 7 or 8 clicks that you've got to go through to get that service done. Amazon, I can go and literally I can go to the app and find my product and click one button and I've purchased it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of our issue. I think some people are just going to like to call the dealership. Maybe it's still a mistrust thing and they would rather hear it from a person or whatever. But I think we've still got to find a way to simplify that process for them.
Well, I get an email from a dealership. It says you're due for your service. And I go, click here to make an appointment. So I click here and it starts off by saying, who are you? What's your name? You know who I am. You sent me the message. Why would I spend another 5 minutes entering stuff? What's the car? What's the exactly. Somehow we haven't quite thought through some of those fundamentals.
Right. Exactly. It's the time when you answer your phone and the person says, "Who is this? Who is it? You called me." It's those simple things, right? That seem simple, and seem that they should be intuitive, and for some reason we're still at a point where they're not. But that's an open business for someone to go and invent and take, right? So
lots of opportunity.
That's it. Les, thank you very much for joining us. This is an awesome conversation. Always great to speak with you. If people want to reach out and learn more about you or the companies you're involved with, what's the best way for them to do that?
Best way is probably just call me. My cell phone number is 619-204-5556. And happy to chat about really anything that relates to the industry.
Excellent. Greatly appreciate that. We'll make sure we get that into the show notes so anybody wants to reach out. And I will be at NADA this year, so I'll make sure I swing by and see Marcus. I've known him for a couple of years now and have not met him in person, so it'd be nice to actually meet him in person.
It's funny, I've gotten involved in these companies as an advisor, some for over 2 years. I've not met anybody face to face. So, in many cases, NADA will be the first chance I have to interact face to face with the folks that I've been working very, very closely with.
Yeah,
what a time.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I think you and I feel like you're a friend in the industry, and I feel like we've been old friends forever, and yet I have never met in person. So it's
come by our booth. We're not far from Marcus's booth. You can see us at NADA as well.
I will absolutely be doing that. And again, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.